Well, good evening and welcome everyone to the Unity Chamber Music Series. I'm Heidi Bruley, Executive Director of the Unity Temple Restoration Foundation. In case you're not familiar with our organization, Unity Temple Restoration Foundation's mission is to restore and preserve Frank Lloyd Wright's Unity Temple, part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and to provide educational and artistic public programming. As Unity Temple remains closed to the public due to the health and safety precautions, we are thrilled to continue with our Unity Chamber Music Series in this virtual format. Duo Diorama is the third of 6 in our series this year. Our next virtual concert will be a special Valentine's theme performed on February 13th. So save that date, more information will be coming. Our format this evening will be a brief introduction with the duo, then a 38-minute concert, followed by audience question and answer with the musicians. At any time during the event, please enter your questions into the chat and we will address those during the question and answer. Also, please make sure to mute your audio and turn off your video for the remainder of this program. A recorded version of this event will be available for viewing for 48 hours, and you will receive a link for that later this evening. So thank you very much for your support of Unity Temple Restoration Foundation. And now I am thrilled to introduce to you Winston Choi and Minghuan Xu of Duo Diorama.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Heidi. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are Duo Diorama and the artistic directors of the Unity Chamber Music Series. It's been such a delight for us to be involved with this organization, the Unity Temple Restoration Foundation, and we're excited to be able to present this concert for you, even though the parameters of it is so different from what we had originally anticipated. We had a wonderful first season, and the pandemic, of course, has forced us to present our concerts virtually. We feel even though we cannot spend this time with many of you in person in this beautiful space, we were able to go to the Unity Temple and record a program a few days ago there. And we're delighted to be able to share it with you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming tonight. It means so much for us to see you all here. And before we start, we just want to say a few words about the program tonight. As Winston mentioned, when we had this idea of having a holiday concert, this was sometime last year now before the pandemic, and we had actually a very different vision. We thought it was going to be a much bigger. We even thought of possibly even have some ensembles, even string orchestra. But because of pandemic, so we've decided obviously to do something much more intimate. So it just, between Winston and I. And you can see the program in chat box. And the first piece is Bach Sonata. In E major, we performed a few times before, and we really love this sonata. It is so beautiful, and it's always a joy to perform it. And the next few pieces, you can see that they are not the conventional classical pieces. And so when I came to the States at age of 15, I discovered a lot of American music, and one of my favorite singers is actually Barbra Streisand. And I remember listening to her album, and there's these songs that really stood out to me. Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Somewhere from West Side Story. These tunes just stuck with me over the years. So I asked Winston. I said, I would like you to perhaps arrange and transcribe these tunes into something that can be very personal for us, for violin and piano. He actually done a different version a couple years ago for my teacher, Mrs. Vamos' 80th birthday. There was Somewhere Over the Rainbow was there, and we had so much fun playing it. So today is a different version of it. And do you want to say a few more words about this?
So this is the second piece that you see listed in the chat box there. A place for us somewhere. And so what I've taken the liberty of doing is quote, of course, from Bernstein, Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen, but I've mixed it with some Beethoven. So the pianists that are observing may recognize little bits and pieces, especially from the second movement of the fifth piano concerto, where it happens to be Bernstein quoted Beethoven for his tune Somewhere from West Side Story. And so I just kind of had fun indulging with ways of connecting these pieces together, and that's kind of a theme that runs through throughout a couple of the transcriptions for tonight.
So the next piece is White Christmas, and when we're doing research, I remember Googling it, of course, putting violin Christmas carols, see what would come up, and to our surprise, so there's arrangement by Joshua Heifetz, and so he recorded it actually in 1944 in the album called It Ain't Necessarily So. So we listened to it, and it's really beautifully done. He's such a genius in playing as well as arranging, actually. But we couldn't find the music for it, and so it's not published. So of course, Winston having his incredible year, and so perfect pitch and all that. So he listened to it, and then we wrote it down. And then so I listened to Heifetz, and I added, of course, his fingerings and bowings just by listening, and his glissandos, of course, and I try to copy some of them, but it's really a lovely arrangement. So the next piece, it's the name, it's got a humor too. It's Christmas with Bach. So if you're a string player or just simply, very familiar in the classical world and classical music world, you probably will recognize some of the melodies from the violin sonatas and partitas by Bach. So Winston very cleverly incorporated those melodies and as well as some Christmas carols, right, Winston?
Yeah, the whole idea behind this was to use a minimalist approach to writing. So I would take a strand of Bach or a strand of certain Christmas carols, Joy to the World, Carol of the Bells, Jingle Bells, and loop them. So they would repeat over and over and over. So different kinds of layers and textures, somewhat groove-based at times, but it's about I think a 7 or 8 minute piece that just basically injects Bach with Christmas carols. So it was kind of a fun indulgence.
So the last piece on the program is Hallelujah. And again, Winston, you...
Yeah, you may hear a couple of other tunes combined with Hallelujah. Brahms' Lullaby as well as Silent Night. Try to find some meaning in how these tunes would not only interact in terms of melodically or harmonically, but what they're about. So it was kind of designed with that in mind.
Yeah, and we picked this, program and pieces, and because we just, we don't have to get into all the stuff right now, but we all know how difficult this year has been for everyone, musicians and non-musicians, and so we thought we wanted to bring you a program that perhaps is lighter and intimate and bring a little joy to your life and during this holiday season. So we hope you enjoy.
So what we are about to do is we will be screen sharing our performance, and the Heidi Ruley, the executive director, has just posted a YouTube link there, which you could also watch on your own too if you prefer. Upon the conclusion of the concert, we will return to Zoom and would love to take some questions and answers, have a bit of a meet and greet. So we will now get started with the screen share.
I'm going to clap because we can't hear everyone else clapping at home. That was absolutely beautiful. I hope everyone, wow, what a performance. At any time, if anyone has any questions for Winston and Miguan, please feel free to enter them anytime in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of bravos and bravas, and everyone thought it was wonderful. did you guys want to say anything? I have a couple questions here for you, but if you want to say something first.
Gallery yet?
Sure. Yeah, just to thank everybody for spending this evening with us. We certainly had a lot of fun playing and recording, and I think it's a very challenging time to say the very least. And at the same time, you know, we find inspiration wherever we can. And I have to say, I've been very inspired by Minghuan because she's always been urging me, encouraging me, and pushing me to delve deeper in terms of arranging and composing. And so it's I guess I caught the bug, but she's been my inspiration for this.
Well, thank you. I think that, you know, I really encourage you to do more because I think this is your passion. You're having fun doing it. And yeah.
Well, on that note, actually, there's a question. How long have you been arranging and writing music, Winston? Has this been a more recent diversion?
Probably, yes, probably the last few years. I think maybe when was the first time I did an arrangement? 3-4 years ago, of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't do it very often. Just every 18 months, or if it's certain occasions that inspire, or it's simply hard to sometimes find the time. Although I do feel like when it comes to arranging, it comes pretty quickly.
Yeah, but you do really work hard for it. You put your heart and soul in it, and
Yeah, it's in a way it's more kind of consuming than my piano playing, my piano practicing, which in a sense is a little more because I'm a professional pianist by nature, that it's easier for me to kind of touch and go when it comes to practicing. But when it comes to arranging, it consumes me. So it's really hard to kind of compartmentalize and just do it a few minutes here and there when I have a break. It really swallows me whole.
So you mentioned practicing, and for any of the students out there, I know we have some students that are your students or students from Ping here in Oak Park. You mentioned practicing. So does that mean once you become a professional, you still have to practice?
such a good question, Heidi. And you know, it is. We always have to keep practicing, and I see that actually my violin teachers are here tonight, and Mr. and Mrs. Vamos are probably listening, of course. You know, even they're still practicing. You know, my teacher, Mrs. Vamos, she practice 3 or 4 hours a day when she gets the chance. So I absolutely, and I'm always inspired. And when I talk to my mentors and teachers, and it's really just they're my inspiration to keep. You know, I'm also as well as my students, and I think that when we feel each other's energy, when our colleagues and students and teachers are keep moving forward, I'm still passionate about making music, and it keep us moving too, right? Keep us inspired. And I think especially during this, we mentioned earlier, it's such a difficult time for everyone out there, and for musicians too, because many of our concerts and festivals have been canceled, and so live concerts not really happening. So we, you know, we feel like there's so much inside of us. We still want to keep making music, and I think Winston and I, we are very lucky that we actually have 2 musicians in the household, and we can keep making music. You know, especially as a duo that we've been playing together since we first met. And we started playing together before we even started dating. So that's being together for, you know, with us from the very beginning, and especially during this hard time. And we were still playing a lot in the house and rehearsing. The kids are making music. We have twins, and they're 8, and they play cello and violin. So music is really a part of our house, always.
Beautiful. So you know, of course, talking about the pandemic and talking about not being able to play, where else are you playing virtually other than the Unity Chamber Music Series?
We actually just recorded a very similar program for the Walla Walla Chamber Music Festival, and presenting a virtual concert for them as well. I guess we should note that all of these arrangements today are world premieres, so they get the second performance of some of these works. And so yeah, it's something that we've experimented with, I mean, we've done a lot of recording from home, which we enjoy, but there's nothing like going to a place like the Unity Temple. It's so inspiring, both visually and acoustically.
A few weeks ago, we also did another virtual concert project with the Library of Congress, where we premiered composer Igor Santos' piece, and it's called Confined Speak, and it's definitely a piece that was written during pandemic, and so it sounds very different from the music that we play tonight, and but we enjoy making that project too. Yeah, so it really hasn't stopped, and we're teaching so much, and very involved with our students as well, and it hasn't really been a break. If anything, we feel extremely busy during this time, which we also feel very humbled and very lucky.
We see there's a question in the chat box. What are you looking forward to most when we can all get together?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. Live concerts, and to be able to make music with other people again, right? Freely.
Yeah, be able to connect to colleagues, connect to fellow musicians, connect to audience members, and just love being able to greet people, and also the post-concert meals and all that comes with performance, and being able to travel to different places, and so it's
for sure. And but it's always very interesting to watch your own performance too. Winston and were just saying that our heart was actually racing a little bit, and not quite feel like we're actually playing, but definitely there was excitement. So
if you don't mind me asking a question that goes beyond what you did tonight, or goes beyond the two of you as a duo, what has been your experience directing the Chamber series artistically, particularly during the pandemic, which has been, of course, much different than we had originally planned?
Yeah, I think that, we, at the beginning, we really weren't sure how this was all going to happen. We're still taking, a little bit of time, at a time. So because things are still changing a lot. And so, but first of all, when we just started directing the Chamber series of Unity, Winston and I, we still, every day we're just in awe that we get to do this, because, last week when we finally went back to Unity to play, it's just the sound in tempo. It sounds so beautiful, right? I mean, it just this natural acoustic, and just
for those of you that know the space, you know how inspiring it is to be there, and that it's every direction that you look up, look down, and it's such beautiful sight lines as well.
It's a perfect space for chamber music, and so we feel that we have so many wonderful musicians just live in Oak Park, and as well as in Chicago area. So we have been inviting our colleagues and friends, and over the years, and they're just such a world-class musicians, and so we just, again, we feel very lucky even during this difficult time, but we didn't stop, and it was our last year. We had a good momentum. We just decided this year we're going to keep going. And the beginning, when during March time, for the few months we couldn't go back to the Unity, but now we can, and so we recorded there, as you can see. So we're really looking forward to many projects ahead of us, and just really excited. And we want to always thank you, Heidi, for making this happen. You're working so hard with us, and so we really appreciate all you're doing.
One of the fun projects that we were involved with as teachers is we were working with a group of string players on Beethoven's Grosse Fuge, which is this mammoth, fantastic work. And I see the director of the chamber music program is here, Adam Neiman, and so it was this was his idea, but it was a perfect kind of intersection with the Avalon Quartet, which performed last month for our virtual concert, and it was not purposely coordinated, but they happened to have also programmed the Grosse Fuge in their virtual concert as well. So it was nice to be able to connect these things together and have the students that we worked with a chance to be somewhat involved with them, learning off of their fingerings and bowings and that sort of thing. So that was a nice kind of collaborative effort that just kind of happened by accident. But these sorts of things happen all the time, and I think it's always enriching and inspiring for us to be able to, even though it's all virtual, but to connect with people in this kind of format.
And before any more questions, and I know that I want to thank someone here, and even though that person doesn't want me to mention their names, which I completely understand, is that my violin, it's a beautiful sounding instrument. It's by a private sponsor, and has generously loaning me the violin for many years. And again, I feel so privileged and humbled to be playing on this violin. So thank you so much, and for everything.
And you both are so multifaceted in what you do. You're of course, professional musicians and teachers and composers and arrangers and parents to boot. What advice would you give to, I'm going to give you two, students, young people who are in school who are considering this as a vocation, and then young professionals who are wondering what next steps they're going to take in their profession?
Great questions. I think if music is something that you're unsure of and you're dabbling with, let's say if you're in high school or you're at a certain crossroads, I think it's important to really get a chance to hear lots of music. Just listen as much as possible. Of course, in these days, it's really just going online and listening, but in all sorts of formats. Get your inspiration from all sorts of things, so that in a sense you grow your tastes, you grow your sensibility, you develop a certain kind of intuition for music. And the more you do that, the more you can kind of connect with the entire world at large and what musical society has to offer. And so that's what I would say is my first kind of bit of advice for those that are thinking of going into the field.
Absolutely. And I think during this time, and I'm sure a lot of young musicians, they're questioning our field too. Oh my goodness, like how is it all going to play out? But the truth is, pandemic, it will be over at some point, and the live concerts will be happening again. And even though it doesn't feel like it, feels like it's been forever, and we're still not out of it. But the truth is, it's going to be over, and so things will come back. And so during this time, I think we have a chance to really learn more about who we are as musicians. As Winston mentioned, there's so much out there, and we can listen, and during this time explore different kind of music, see which kind of music that speaks to you, what you feel passionate about. And there's really no one way of making music. I think that in some ways, yes, you're right, Heidi, that we're multifaceted because we're always interested in so many things, and I think that's what makes us feel very fulfilled. We perform, we teach, and then we play music never been played before, and so we premiere different kind of music. So I think this all just keep us going forward as musicians, keep exploring and learning, and keeping inspired.
Excellent. And we're seeing lots of accolades here from everyone for your brilliant performance. Someone asked a question, we should keep in mind what we've learned about bringing in audiences that can't otherwise attend even when the pandemic is over. Any thoughts in that area?
Certainly, that's something we've talked about, the importance of recording and streaming all concerts, not just during the pandemic, because even when things open up again, it won't open up equally for everybody. Some people will feel even the vaccination rates, will be different depending on where you live and what your profession is, all that sort of thing, age group. So we're mindful of that, but it's not only about this. I think it's life the way we knew it. It'll never return. There's going to be different, essentially different kinds of hybrid models of how we will present music going forward. And I think every arts organization is grappling with that and thinking about how to move towards this kind of new vision of what concert life will be about. But it's something that we're constantly thinking of, both in our profession as educators, as well as when we're playing concerts and kind of reimagining the presentation of it all.
Yeah, and Heidi and us, we also talked about, and of course, when the pandemic hit, is that for our concert series, we're also interested in bring music into areas where the students, since we both, Winston and I, were educators, and we would love to bring our music to schools where kids are not exposed to classical music, and we live in Oak Park, and these kids are not far away. It's like 5-10 minutes drive from here, and there's schools that really need for kids to learn about classical music and to be exposed. So we definitely, this is a project so we would like to talk more and take more steps for that to happen when things open.
Absolutely. And just to mention, you mentioned the word hybrid. For those listening, moving forward, our next one or possibly two concerts will be virtual again, of course, because we're just not at that point yet where we can open up live. But moving forward, when we can do that, we've talked about continuing a hybrid model. So if some people either don't feel comfortable coming in live or just are unable to make it there, there's still another option. So we always look forward to any other ideas people have or any thoughts to bring music to as many people as possible. But we do have another question from Lena. What's your favorite part about teaching in general and now during the pandemic?
Such a great question, Lena. What's the favorite part of teaching? For me personally, I feel like the thing is, when I teach, I learn about myself as a player, and I feel that I have improved so much over the years of teaching, trying to keep figuring things out and keep exploring repertoire and the instrument, of course. And another thing is that I am very often I'm learning from my students as well. They might not know it because I don't always tell them that, but I actually do. I learn so much from them, and not just learning from them, but also very often being inspired by them. For instance, Lena's asking now during the pandemic. That's exactly what it is. There are times when Winston and I we have very busy life, and we can get tired, with two kids and there are days we're tired, but then when we see our students are practicing, are getting ready for lessons, getting ready for their musical projects, and it really pushes us to keep working hard. And so it is really when you think about teacher teaching a student, it's only we give, but it's actually it's a two-way street. We also receive a lot from our students. Do you agree, Winston?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's as performers in many aspects, it's one way we perform, and of course we can engage with people in dialogue afterwards, but it's you step up on stage and your music goes out there. And I love the back and forth aspect of teaching because it's a real exchange of ideas. I love listening in ways that you don't do otherwise, right? When you really listen to somebody as a teacher, as a music teacher, you're listening to everything that they have to say, and it's such a privileged position to be able to teach music and teach something that we happen to love also. So I would say the interactive aspect of it, which you would think going into the pandemic over Zoom would have many deficiencies, and certainly there are pros and cons, of course, many cons to it. But we have found the interactive aspect of teaching in some ways somehow it can be enhanced through over Zoom and with what technology has to offer.
Excellent. So any, before we wrap up here, any last comments you'd like to make or additional answers to any of the questions that have been asked previously?
Nothing that comes to mind right now, except just to thank you all for joining and hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to both of you for all of your hard work and for your time and brilliance as musicians. And we are going to be signing off, but if anybody would like to stick around that are personal friends or acquaintances or colleagues with Winston and Ming Kwan, I think they're going to stay on for a little bit to chat, but I think we're signing off for the rest of us. So thanks everyone for joining us and have a wonderful holiday season.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.